Hello and welcome to FUMBBL podcast number 6 called Ogre and Out. PC, Morehouse and myself discuss the pluses and minuses for the Ogre team. We look at the European standings, talk about FUMBBL Cup and have a little bit of fun at the end. Enjoy. Hey, and welcome to another FUMBBL podcast, number 6. I have Morehouse and PC with me.
Hello.
Good evening.
And I hope we're all right out there. So, we're going to start off with what we usually talk about first. What have we been up to B&B-wise since we last spoke, so in a week? PC, tell us about your BB antics over the week.
I've been quite busy. The first thing and the thing I'm most delighted about is I've got my 200 Black Box Trophy games done.
Oh, well done.
Oh, well done.
I finished off with a nice little run. I think I won the last 5 to pull myself up from a bit of a nosedive. I had some Wood Elves that were down to 5 players and journeymen. And they ended with still, I think, 2 journeymen on the staff. But they won their last 4 or 5 games, giving me equal racial lead with Woodies. And I top out at 123.5. And I was sort of personally targeting about 120. So I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah,
Well
I'd say that. Anything else?
I've been feeling very bad about Cyanide and Blood Bowl 2, which I picked up in a Steam sale, had a little play with, and it turns out their main open division is not competitive, which I hadn't realised. I mean, I'd sort of realised that my teams are running into bigger and bigger walls on a very regular basis. But it turns out that's deliberate, and if you're any good at Blood Bowl, the Cyanide game will penalise you by giving you harder and harder games.
Oh, wow. I didn't realise that.
Some of those teams you're playing up 400 or 500 TV because they're at the top of the pile or because they got very big early in the sort of seasonal build they have will never have to face the same. So they're more or less continually sort of hitting
top of the heap.
It's quite hard, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So that's been annoying me, but the Black Box Trophy thing's been delighting me. So it's been a mixed week for me.
Good. Morehouse?
Yeah, well, first I wanted to say something I've been keeping an eye on and relating to what you're just talking about. It's going to be neck and neck to who wins that Black Box Trophy because Happy Gru is coming down to the finish. She's, something like 10 points behind FXIII with, 7 games or something left, but he can win the Slan race and steal it from him. So that's something that people should keep an eye on if they've been playing in that. That's kind of neat.
I think he needs about
Slan player as well.
He needs about 4 wins with Slan out of about 6 or 7 that he's got left with them. And if he does, he'll take the racial lead away from, I always think of it as Fixie, but FXIII.
Sure.
And that'll drop him 2.5 points and give 2.5 points to Happy Gru. And then if he's got that many wins, that the maths means that almost certainly would put him top.
That's an exciting finish.
All about who's best at Slam.
Yeah, and to take off that and what Throwick said earlier, I wouldn't call him a decent Slan player. I'll go out on a limb and say that Gru is the best Slan player in the world. So if anyone has has an argument with that, you can take it up with Morehouse. If you think you know someone who's better with Slan than Happy Gru, let me know because I have not seen someone better. So good on him.
Yeah, Harrod's pretty good with Slan.
Yes, Harrod was one. Malmir has been playing them a bit, and he is obviously a good player with any race. So Wreckage, who doesn't play that much anymore, but was a good Slan player. So there's certainly other people who deserve mentioning, but I'll take Gru on.
I think that's probably where my money would be as well.
Yeah, if you wanted someone to play Slan for your life, you'd probably pick Happy Gru.
Yeah, well, if you guys might not be as familiar with this, but being across the pond, but in NBFL, which is kind of the major American kind of high team value league on FUMBBL, I think it's been going for like 20 seasons, and Happy Gru has won it with Slan, I think almost like 10 times, like almost as much as everyone else combined. So over here, we even more know him as like the Slan master among American coaches. So yeah, he's very, very good with them.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I've had Go on, Morehouse.
I was just going to move on to what else I've been doing.
Oh, yeah, go on, carry on.
Continue. Yeah. Let's see. Today I've been, unfortunately, / fortunately, doing some FUMBBL administrator duties, which is never really fun to have to get people in trouble. But I do think it is a cool thing about FUMBBL that that if you are being abused or your opponent is trying to cheat or anything, that the admins do have your back, as much as it's not fun to get in those situations and have to tell people to stop doing that. So I've been dealing with that a little bit today. And then trying to think what else. Like we did another smack on Sunday that was fun.
Yeah,
I ended up losing to some noob with humans, but
that would be me.
well done, Throwek. He beat my halflings with his humans. It was a good game.
Just though.
Yeah, in overtime.
It was a bit ropey. And then I went on
yeah.
to lose to Flicks because I did a needless GFI. I did a needless go for it. Didn't need it. Complete noob error. Lost the game. Really frustrating.
Oh, I know. And with that, Flicks passed me, and he is now Smack King. He has won 4 of the new Smacks, and I only have 3 of them. So, yeah, you let me down there, Throwek.
Yeah,
That's
sorry.
okay.
Hang on. If we're just talking about smacks, you have to be specific and say new smacks.
I did.
If you're talking about old smacks and scheduled smacks, I think I've got about 80.
Yeah. We're talking about instant smacks.
Quite a few more than 4.
What's funny, PC, you'll notice when you replay the tape, I am quite sure I specifically said new smacks because I knew you would react that way if I didn't. But yes, the all-time tournament king on Fumble. We were talking about this the other day. Anyone who knows if this is not true, we think PC has maybe, if not probably, won more tournaments than any other player ever. Is there anybody else who's got a longer list on their profile?
I don't think we need to validate that.
Very long. Jokero is very long. The original Flicks, his list is very long, but I think PC might have them all beat.
The original Flicks had a lot. I think we were neck and neck before his incredibly unfortunate accident, and he's much missed. A nice guy and a fantastic Blood Bowl coach.
Absolutely, 100%.
I've been pretty busy BB-wise as well. So, yeah, I've joined my first tabletop tournament called Strangle Bowl in Leicester. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. The uniqueness of it is, I think there's the guy that organises it has based himself as a star player, and he plays for one team the first half and the other team the second half, and you can have him on the pitch or you can have him as a coaching staff. Now, the rules are online. If you just Google Strangle Bowl, that's where they are. So it's quite interesting. Look, it looks quite good fun. So I thought before the UKTC, might be wise to get some tournament experience. And we've signed up now. Team FUMBBL is a thing, isn't it?
Yes, it's been going on in the background a little
nice.
bit. I suppose if we're talking about the week, we should talk about this. I have put a post up on the forums. Team FUMBBL has now applied to the UK Team Challenge number 5, which will take the 4 of us up to York on January the 12th and 13th of 2019. The 4 of us being myself and Throwek and Malmir and Mr. Joshua.
Yes.
So there's been a couple of other people said they might like to come, and in that forum thread, if that interests you, there's no reason another team couldn't form and come with us and get some advice and help and get drunk with us. But yeah, the 4 of us going up representing FUMBBL.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting.
Feel free to offer us advice or meta game it for us, or tell us what we should be doing or not doing, or what we should be coaching, or anything that you feel is relevant or useful.
Yeah, definitely.
We may well ignore you, but feel free to chime on in.
Yeah, that's an invitation you don't want to give me. I'll have lots of things to say.
The other thing I've been doing is I joined, I mentioned it on the last podcast, that I joined the Warhammer World Nottingham Blood Bowl League. And I had my first game last Wednesday, went over to Warhammer World, so you have to walk through Warhammer World to get to Bugman's Bar. Played a really nice chap called Dan. It was really friendly. There was loads of Blood Bowl going on as well, and it wasn't just our league. There was just standalone games going on. It was really busy.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, it was fantastic, actually. So it was clear to see that Blood Bowl is still growing. There's still a want to play it quite a lot in Nottingham, which was great to see, because last time I went to Bugman's, I'm talking some years ago now, it was pretty dead. But it was heaving. It was absolutely heaving. There's plenty of people playing 40k and Age of Sigmar and all of that. But in Bugman's Bar, it was all Blood Bowl. It was really lovely to see, actually. So I've got another game on Wednesday. So I'm looking forward to going over again and playing my next opponent. I can't remember who they are. But yeah, it was good fun.
All right, yeah, that sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
Fantastic, sounds good.
Yeah, anyway, so that rounds up what we've been doing Blood Bowl wise. So let's move on to our race focus. Now it's time for Race Focus. This week's Race Focus is Ogres. Now, I know Morehouse, you've got a bit of an issue with Ogres, but one of our Patreons, JD Mickleborough, he did pick up last time that we hadn't talked about Ogres when we were talking about the pro skill, which we kind of just brushed under the carpet, But I don't know how
Sure.
much you've played Ogres or not.
Well, first of all,
I've not played a single game of those.
yeah, I was just gonna say, if you think I've got an issue with them, wait till PC starts talking about them. But I have played with Ogres a little bit. I've since the beginning of my time in Blood Bowl, I've always been someone who I don't like the idea of saying this team is overpowered or underpowered or this team is broken. I've always felt like, the teams all have their own charm, they all have their own place. They all fit in some kind of niche. I think Ogres, as the way they are right now, really test that theory out quite severely, because I think you could make an argument. I'm not sure what they are doing in the game. I don't like the Snotlings being a player. I would like to go back to when they had Goblins. I think when they had Goblins as sort of the linemen, they were a little more reasonable. They weren't any good still, but they at least it was something to play around with. I think the one thing to say for Ogres is, if you feel like you are a great player and you cannot be challenged because you're just beating everybody, play some Ogres. If you really want to make the game harder on yourself, do some Ogre play, because that'll do the trick for you. What do you think, BC?
They're incredibly frustrating to play. Now, just while you were talking about it, in terms of teams and whatever else, just for people that are newer to Blood Bowl and the six Ogre roster, previously to that, you could have how many Ogres?
I think they were the 0 to 12. There used to not be a 0 to 16 on every team, so you used to be able to have something like maybe 10 or 12 Ogres. Someone can correct us on that, I'm sure, but like 10 or 12 Ogres and 4 to 6 Goblins instead of Snotlings.
And that sounds
crazy. If you believe it, they were still no good. I mean, they rarely won any. Because once your team value gets high enough that you've got 10 Ogres on the team, you're playing against Chaos teams with 5 Claw Mighty Blow and Wood Elf teams with 11 guys with Blodge, and you still can't tackle anybody or block any. So they still weren't good, but they were somewhat competitive in the hands of a good coach back in those days. I think if you look at it now, I would say the guys that Strider 84 is probably the guy I would think of as probably the best Ogre player. And if you look at his record, I'm not sure off the top of my head, but it's roughly around like 50%. So that's like, if you are the best Ogre player in the world playing on FUMBBL, you can maybe win half your games. So that's about how difficult Ogres are.
Yeah, they are tough. Is there a reason you haven't played any Ogres, BC?
I disagree. I'm going to have to come in here. I disagree with Morehouse. I think they have a very useful niche in the BB choice of races, which is if you're one of the special children who, your pastimes include melting things and hurting things and seeing what happens when you break things, then Ogres are for you. And it keeps, it means just we can go, okay, that's who that is. Yeah. So Ogres are terrible at Blood Bowl. The only thing they're good at is at hurting other teams, and they're not even very good at that. But if you get very lucky, if you get lots of piling on Ogres, and back when you'd just drop them onto everybody. Now you just smash everyone about, and you desperately hope to get a block Ogre, put the ball on him, and then no one can get it off him. And maybe he'll wander down towards the line. Maybe he won't. So if you're coaching Ogres, you're not going to care about stuff like that, because winning really isn't clearly something you've thought about or care about.
Yeah,
Look, I'm happy there's something for you to do. And I'm happy that you get to do that.
Yeah,
perhaps you should also look at Kemri, who are also for the special children.
Yeah, I think.
Don't let Chris hear you say
that. I think there is a serious point in that joke there, though. But there are a few guys that play a lot of Ogres on FUMBBL who are really, really fun opponents, and they're not super competitive guys. They don't really care if they win or lose. They just love the silliness of the game.
Yeah, I'm kidding, of course. It's for the coach who wants to have fun and wants the blood in his Blood Bowl. It really isn't that bothered about winning or the ball, and is there to have a good time.
And I think when you pick Ogres, you send that flag up that, like, you know what, I'm in it for a good time. I don't care if I win or not. So in that respect, they do kind of have a place, I guess. I should take back what I said earlier.
Fair enough. So if you were building an Ogre team, what kind of Ogres are you looking? What kind of Ogres are you looking for? Obviously, plus AG.
I'd delete them and build anything else.
Obviously, plus AG would be Gold Dust. wouldn't it?
Yeah, you're trying to give some kind of real tactical analysis here, so I'm going to make it. I'll take a shot at it. All right. So, one thing I will say, a little bit of insight into my playing ogres briefly. Something I found that at first I started trying to carry the ball with the snotlings because I just thought, how in the world can you possibly deal with a AG2 bonehead movement 5 ball carrier? There's just no way you can trust him to pick up the ball. But after a while, the snotlings are so easy to knock down. And because of all the bonehead and then the titchy skill, it's so hard to cage properly around a snotling that after a while I just started saying, screw it, I'm just going to pick up with an ogre. Right? So I think that's one thing that maybe to give one bit of tactical advice, just take the 50% chance and try to pick the ball up with an ogre, because if you at least get it in the ogre's hands, you have a chance of holding it for a little while because of the strength 5. So that would be my one bit of actual analysis.
So question for you then. First double, sure hands or block?
Saying what I just said, if I had a brand new ogre team in the first game I rolled a double, I think I might take sure hands first, just to have some kind of chance of holding the ball for a few turns before I inevitably get it stolen from me. But yeah, I think there's something to be said for just trying to get some kind of ball in the hands of the ogre. Like you said, if you get an ogre that rolls plus agility, and you'll see some ogre teams that have lived a long time that might have like a plus movement, plus agility, 1 or 2 doubles on an ogre, and then if you've got a movement 6 AG3 guy with sure hands and block, okay, maybe you have some chance. But yeah,
until everyone else boneheads and he's got no cover,
right? And he has no protection. Yeah,
and even else but 2 dice on him. But yeah,
right.
I mean, that's definitely the way forward. I mean, I'm going to echo what Morehouse said. When I play ogres, the one thing I love to see is a titchy ball handler, and particularly if it's sat in the middle of a titchy cage. Because even a dwarf can dodge in there on a 50%. People forget that titchy means there's no ongoing tackle zone. You still have to dodge out, but you can dodge through and dodge into as if they're not there. So basically it gives anyone facing them stunty, is the way I always think about it.
Sure.
And so there is no point in using them to cage or even screen, really. They're just no good at it. And if they're in the middle of ogres, I've only got to get in there because they're strength 1. You've got to have a lot of guards on it before I've not got various dice on him. So I'm with Morehouse, try somehow, even if it means using a snotling to ferry it, get the ball to the ogres. Plus, snotlings are going to die like flies, so why develop them?
Right.
They're terrible as they are, but they're even more terrible with a skill on them, because then they really don't justify their TV.
Right.
A couple of dirty player ones, surely. I don't know. Are they runts now?
Maybe a dirty
name
player.
change.
Oh, yeah. Are they
runts?
actually called runts now? Yeah, I believe you're right. Actually, we've been getting. They're not snotlings anymore, I don't think.
No, it was just a point of course, really, wasn't it?
Yeah,
wasn't a criticism.
I think. No, I could.
Terrible, whatever.
I could see maybe taking a dirty player one if you rolled a double on the first skill. So I could just because one of the problems with ogres is that I had is it's a bash team, right? It's obviously not an agility team, but when you've got MA5 stunty guys on the team, you're always outnumbered. So there's no other bash team that is constantly outnumbered. It just, the math doesn't work. So with a snotling dirty player, I think the theory is he's going to get injured eventually anyway. So if he's leaving the pitch either way, he might as well take somebody else on the other team with him when he goes and get banned. So I could maybe see that. But again, that's you're more than doubling his team value to give him dirty player. So it's not a great thing either. But I could maybe see that being an acceptable snotling skill.
I think if you are going that route, if you're going to put a skill on a snotling, then make sure it's something you're going to get value from more or less instantly, because they're so hard to keep safe. Particularly if you're trying to chase the ball or keep the ball safe. The idea of keeping a snotling safe at the same time is really tricky. So if you're going to put the extra TV on him, and like for a DP, then start fouling. From turn 1, from turn 2, find something of value and kick it, because you need to get bang for your buck.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think something else about ogres that I noticed a little bit is that this is true of all the kind of stunty teams like halflings and goblins, but maybe even more so with ogres. I think you might actually be better off playing up in team value against bigger teams, because the standard roster is so bad that the inducements might actually be better than you know what I mean. If you can get like 500, hiring the stars even with loaner might be better than your ogres and your runts. So you might actually be better off playing bigger teams, and that's sometimes true with goblins and halflings too. But I think I would try to experiment with that maybe if I was going to play ogres in like tournaments or something, trying to get them in tournaments where the other teams might be a little bit bigger. Because if you can get Morg, then maybe you've got maybe you've got an okay chance at. I'm sorry, I got distracted here. My phone is ringing. I lost my train of thought. But if you can get stars on the team, you might have an okay chance of doing something. Morg is all right. The chainsaw, the bomber, something like that.
Yeah, I think to pimp them up a bit would be it would be good fun at the very least, wouldn't it?
Right. Yeah. If it nothing else, you'll have more fun having a bomber or a chainsaw than just playing regular old ogres, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
with all of that said, I think for me it still comes down to if you want to have fun, if that's your main motivation, I think goblins are more fun. And if you want something frustrating that can sometimes do stuff, then I think vampires are just as frustrating, but can sometimes do stuff.
Yeah.
Sure. And halflings, I would say the same thing, are better than ogres.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a decent summary there. And I think we'll probably leave ogres right there. Right.
Very good.
Next conversation. Just a quick update because the European is happening at the moment on FUMBBL, and an AF tournament. Now, PC and I were quite pleased with ourselves last time because we were 6 for 6 as a group, and we didn't have such a good round this week. I lost my game.
Not quite up there.
yeah. As Blood Bowl goes, it's not one of the best weeks we had as a group. But we have to remember that it's the top 4, isn't it? It's the top 4 that go through to playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So as much as it would be great to finish top, a good target would actually just be to finish top 4. How's your team getting on, Morehouse?
Well, funny about that, as Blood Bowl goes, I believe we won all the games in our first round. And then because he's a young fellow who doesn't have as much perspective, Ace to Flick started very verbosely talking trash to all the other coaches. And I think in the second round, we tied 1 and lost 2 or something. So he maybe shouldn't have counted his chickens before they hatched. But
that's not like him.
Let's see. I think I have won 1 and lost 2. I think Baza has won 2 and lost 1. I think Flicks has won 1 and tied 2. But I have not checked them recently. That's off the top of my head what I think's going on. But
there is. It's hard to find. It's on page 6 of the forum thread about this this tournament, the NAF European online tournament, and that's in the tournaments sub forum of FUMBBL. But there is actually a link on page 6 to a spreadsheet that covers what every team has.
Okay.
And
cool.
at the moment, standing number 1 is No Karma Fujitsu, and this isn't with every single game played. There's a couple still to be played tonight.
Sure.
They're standing number 1 on 14 squad points. Then France 2K18, which has, these are all some very good players, but they're not names perhaps from FUMBBL, but they are names from the NAF world, are on 13 points. Also on 13 points is Ilupi e la Piovra, with Spartaco, Liam Gallagher starring up on that team. They've still got a couple of games to come in. Liam Gallagher's game is still ongoing. And if he either wins or draws that, and he's currently 1-0 up, then they'll go top. And then also York 19 versus Wife Time, the Purple Underground remix, which is me, Malmir, and Throek. We're still on 13, despite losing 2 games this round and drawing the other one. Our good first couple of rounds has still kept us up there, still challenging. So we're in the top 4 places. Yeah,
well
absolutely.
done, guys.
Yeah, and
but right behind us is Pete W, Purple Goo, and Gegster. Quite a strong squad there.
And I'm pretty sure Gegster's in my Nottingham league. Pretty sure. Because I know he lives in Nottingham. And, when you look at handles or nicks or whatever you want to call them, obviously I'm not going to give away his real name, but I just thought, there's a similarity there. I wonder if it is. So I'm sure we'll cross paths at some point and find out.
He's a pretty good low team value player. I've played him in a couple
coach.
Rookie Royal Rumbles.
Yeah, he is, while we're on tournaments, it's round the corner. The FUMBBL Cup is upon us.
Oh, yes.
It will soon be here. So you can start applying, I think, from October the 3rd. Actually, no, I lead it, but October the 3rd is when applications open. So.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. That's my favorite thing in
indeed
Blood Bowl. So I very happy about that. I'll be getting my orcs as ready as we can get.
You're bringing your
and they will
orcs?
be ready to. Yeah, I like orcs as my tournament team for multiple reasons, but that's going to be kind of my brand name tournament team, I think, from now on in the majors. I will be struggling to get games with them. So if there's anybody out there who is brave enough to play some high team value orcs, let me know. I'm very happy to return a favor for a favor. So if you want to play my orcs and then your tournament team is elves or something, and you would rather play my elves with your elves to get your team ready or something, whatever, let me know. I'll help you out.
I hate to say
Yes,
this,
sir.
but I'm going to disqualify you for colluding. Sorry, buddy. you haven't even participated, and you're disqualified already.
I'm pretty sure we all understand that games in ranked are chosen by the coaches, not picked by the administrators. So that shouldn't shock anybody that something like that would happen.
What about you, PC? What are you throwing in?
I don't know. I've got a couple of big dwarf teams. One a major once. The other one has won sort of tournaments at every level. So I mean, one of those probably. But only because whilst I have a couple of nice young elf teams, they're hovering at around the 1,800 mark, and really, they need 10 or 15 games before they'd be competitive. I might try and build one up. I keep saying I want to move to doing some elves in majors for a change.
Yeah.
But if not, I'll drop some dwarves in and have a go. And as always, I'll end up facing some huge nasty claw team.
Well,
probably winning.
Winning.
But not surviving.
Yeah. Well, while we're on huge nasty claw teams, I've got WMD Hunters Nurgle. They're ready, just about.
Nice.
Not sure I want to take them. I've got my Chaos Dwarves straight out of Compton, which need a bit more work. I do love playing that team, and I've got a Skaven team in ranked, which is, I think it's called Mouldy Cheese. Well, I can't see without looking, but it's got 5+ movement players. 3 of them being gutter runners. So I know Bazza had 4 at one point, but
yeah, well,
there's always one shot off, isn't there?
Poor guy.
Yeah. But it's good, isn't it? I mean, we've talked about Fumble Cup before, so we don't need to go over it. I just wanted to, if people that are listening, don't forget, keep an eye out for October the 3rd, because we do get some people on Fumble that say, well, I didn't even know this was happening. So we try and go through as many avenues as we can, and now we're adding another one, which is this podcast. So if you're interested...
And presumably it's a 2-week application window?
2-week application window, ranked or black box teams. Please don't put league teams in.
Anything, any size? Any restrictions at all?
No restrictions whatsoever. It is the only one on Fumble where it is everybody in.
So if you think you can win it with a brand new halfling team, you can still try that.
Yeah, you get people,
100%,
these crazy people that enter competitions with just a team full of halflings, nothing else, and do quite well.
My dream first round draw.
Actually, Throek, you are the first person to ever beat me when I'm using halflings. That was my first loss as a halfling coach.
Oh, well, that's nice
yesterday.
to know.
Or 2 days ago.
I'll go to bed with a smile on my face tonight.
There you go.
If you're interested, get onto Fumble, have a look at the Fumble Cup. There is always well over 100 coaches participate, so it's really worth the crap. And this
Last year we had exactly 256, which was kind of cool.
Yeah,
Brackets went totally even.
Yeah.
So let's try to get it over. 300 people would be awesome. Join Fumble Cup. If I could encourage you to do one thing in Blood Bowl, please play in the Fumble Cup. It is really a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I mean, of that 256, I don't imagine more than 200 thought they could win it. So even if you think this isn't something I can win, I just want to have some fun. It's the Fumble Cup. It's the big one. You've every right to drop a team in and see how far you get.
Yeah,
and that's half the fun of it. Be in the draw. Come and spectate some games, chat. Take part. It is the biggest event in Fumble all year, and it draws everyone and of every type and every team. And you'd be amazed at some of the draws in the first round. So even if you've only played a few games on Fumble, sometimes it's still worth just dropping a team in, having a go, and seeing. You might get a couple of lucky rounds, get through to round 4 or 5.
Yeah, even Ogres appear, don't they? Even Ogres appear.
Oh, yeah.
And this year we'll be commentating. There'll be some commentaries. I'll be streaming a few games as well with some commentary from Morehouse and PC, whoever's around. So it will be much more fan-based as well, which is quite exciting. Quite looking forward to that. So,
yeah, absolutely.
If you remember, boys, last week we talked about... we had a competition, didn't we, for jokes, and we asked people to submit jokes. Now, interestingly, we've all been given one joke each.
Excellent.
So, this is how it's going to work. We're going to share our jokes, and then we, as a panel of 3, will decide who wins. Now, the prize is a little human thrower, which I painted painstakingly to get the colour scheme right for tournaments, and I didn't like it. So it's now as a prize. The painting quality is fine. It's the colour scheme. It didn't work. They look more like wood elves. Anyway.
If ever anyone in a solo Blood Bowl format, you'll have a team ready.
Yeah, absolutely. I've even written my name on the bottom. It says Throwek instead of Thrower. So there we go. So what we'll do, PC, you start. I think you've had a joke.
Well, using its very broadest definition, yes. I've been submitted some words by Asterflix, which he describes as a joke. So I will tell it as best I can. Why are the best dwarves the slowest?
Why?
The best dwarf is a dead dwarf.
Ba-dum-bum.
Oh.
I'm here all
from
week.
the crowd.
I think.
Yeah,
Well done, Flix. Well done.
I'll get my coat.
Well, it's the best one so far.
Yes,
Exactly.
definitely. He's leading.
Right.
Currently in first place, Astaflix.
Yeah.
All right.
You go next one.
All right. So here we go. Why didn't the skeleton foul the war dancer? He didn't have the guts.
Oh.
Ooh.
Guts. Get it, folks?
Yeah. Right. And who was that from? Which delightful coach sent that one in?
That was from Finn Diesel, who is a nice fellow and a good guy. So I'll give him props for that one. It was a good effort.
Fair enough. Well, I had one submitted from Rags. I like Rags, played him a few times now. But here it is.
Yeah, good guy.
Now, I've got to pronounce it right. Why did Slibley get surfed by Roxana Darknail?
Why?
I don't know. Why did he?
Because he didn't know which elf he was up against.
Oh.
But think about it, because this is a deeper joke. Slibley's got Stand Firm, and she's got Juggernaut.
Okay. All right.
Clever.
Oh, man.
It's
Yeah.
clever, but as I'm constantly reminding my 9-year-old son, any joke you have to explain probably isn't going to be funny.
No, but I think the witch elf bit is the joke.
Yeah.
But there's just
Oh, yeah.
But there's a clever reference within it, in that
Yeah.
it's true.
yeah.
It probably works better written out, so you can see the different spelling of which. That, you know what I mean? It's one of those jokes that it would probably snap to your mind quicker. But
So obviously, I mean, that's such a range of quality we have there.
yeah, it's tough to decide when you got 3 like this. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think Asterflix is out.
I think just on principle, yes.
Thanks for playing.
Do we like Finn or do we like Rags?
I think
Rags is very clever, but I think Finn is a joke that it just works. It's universal. I could tell it to my 9-year-old and he'd understand it.
that's very true.
Yeah, a wise man once said that anybody can be clever, but the really clever thing is to be simple, right? So I think the war dancer didn't get fouled because the skeleton didn't have guts. That works for me on a very basic level.
Well, I think then we have a win. I think Rags is good. I like Rags. Rags' joke. But I do think, like you say, it works at a universal level. Very simple. Well done, Finn Diesel. So what I'll do, Finn Diesel, is I'll get in touch with you on Discord, or you to me if you hear this, and I will sort some kind of postage out so we can get the model to you.
We will find you.
We will find you. Hey, I've got some news actually. I have, I keep doing these specials. I know I don't involve you two in it. It's just something if I get.
We're not offended at all.
That's
absolutely
all
fine.
right. Well, obviously I've done one with Krista and I've done one with Calthor.
Yep.
And the next name I have, hopefully the podcast will be out on Friday, is Blood Bowl celebrity, the Sage. I've managed to,
all right.
yeah, old FUMBBL player. I've managed to get some of his time, and I'm going to do a bit of an interview with him, which will be interesting. Because he hasn't played on FUMBBL for a while, but I know he still touches back now and again.
Yep.
But I just thought there's a little bit of news out there, so look out for that one. Right, what's next? Okay. Oh, now, usually we do a quiz. Well, we're going to put the quiz to the side because we've got a new kind of competition.
Okay.
And the Angry Man Rant.
It's time for Angry Man Rant.
Now, the Angry Man Rant. I'm going to explain it to you and the listeners so you know what's going to happen. Okay? You get 30 seconds each to rant about something to do with FUMBBL, to do with Blood Bowl, to do with Cyanide. As long as it's in that Blood Bowl world, it passes.
Okay.
I will listen to both rants, and then whichever one I think is the best, we will put into Blood Bowl Hell. A bit like Room 101, if you've ever seen that show or heard it or read it or whatever it is.
So is it intended to be a negative rant, like something that's bothering us? Or,
Yeah.
something we don't like? Okay.
Something that makes you angry. It's an angry man rant.
Okay, yeah, yeah, sure. It's self-explanatory.
Yeah, a little bit.
I guess I asked, so it wasn't that explanatory.
I'm gonna make it easy.
If it had been named "Chilled Man Meander Through Pleasant Topic,"
Yeah.
I could understand the doubt in your voice, but
Okay.
Just wanted to make sure I understood.
Purple chest, head or tails?
let's say head.
It's tails. Do you want to go first or second, Morehouse?
Let's let PC go first.
Ooh, all right,
warm me
PC.
up.
If you've got a
You can
subject,
open for me.
Yes, I do.
right. What's going to be really fun is, and you won't be able to hear this, but I've chosen some pretty suitable music to go underneath your rant. Anyway, let me get my timer out. So 30 seconds. Just give us your subject, PC.
My subject is going to be the apothecary role.
Okay. On your marks, get set, go.
I don't understand why it exists. Now, I know there's always got to be a chance of failure, and we had an apothecary roll with a 1 in 6 chance of failure. That was ridiculous. That was the worst roll in the game. I've spent some money on something that is utterly, utterly useless to me. I've saved it up all game for something I care about, and it still failed. But not only was the apothecary roll bad, but the last time they changed the rules, they made it worse. They made it worse whilst leaving regen as it was and giving them an Igor just in case they wanted to have a bit more insurance. There's absolutely no reason why teams that never have to spend their money on...
Don't listen to him, everyone. Don't listen to him. 30 seconds isn't a lot, is it? But a minute's too long.
No, it really isn't. I could do about 3 days on the apothecary roll.
Oh, man.
Right, Morehouse. What's your topic?
My topic is coaches that never want to play.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this one. Are you ready? On your marks, get set, go.
We have way too many coaches on this site that hang around and sit on the forums and have all these opinions, but never will actually sit down and play a fair, even game of Blood Bowl. Some of these guys, it's like a rarely blooming flower. Conditions in the environment have to be perfect for them to sit down and play one game of Blood Bowl. I get on and try to start a tournament to get some people to come in and play. Hey, let's have some fun. Oh, I can't, I'm busy. Then they're in IRC for 4 hours talking about Blood Bowl, but they were too busy to play a game. It's absolutely ridiculous. Play games.
And stop. And
playing.
stop. Don't listen. Right.
All right.
Well done, boys. Well done. That was fun. I enjoyed that. Right. Now then. Oh, crikey. That's hard, actually. So I'm going to break it down a bit. So PC, apothecary, I get what you're saying, but sometimes the apothecary does save my best players. Sometimes. Morehouse, I do completely agree with you. It is really frustrating. Sometimes I am that person, occasionally.
We've all been that.
Yeah. But
there's a bit of self-loathing in that rant, right?
Yeah, but there's I agree. And you just think, why don't you just activate? Or, yeah, I completely understand. So we are going to commit coaches that are around on the site for an eon, but never play to Blood Bowl Hell. Well done, Morehouse.
Got it.
Sorry, next time. So we'll
May
do this
all your
again.
apoths be ones.
It's only fair. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, well, that's it for this week. We've talked quite a lot. We've covered quite a few things. Like I said, look out for the special in the week, and we'll be back. Are you away next week, PC?
I might be. I've got a lot of work on next week. I'm
Okay.
liable to get home maybe just in time. We'll see. How it
Okay,
goes.
we'll see. So if we see PC
It's
next week...
on the train network.
Right, okay. No worries. So, thank you all again for listening. If you want to follow us on SoundCloud, please do it. It's great when we get a follower. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Nice.
Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you for listening, and if you've enjoyed what you've heard, it would be great if you could find us on SoundCloud, give us a follow, give us a like. You'll find a little donate button if you've enjoyed it. It all helps to the cause of keeping us going, and you can find me on YouTube. I've also got a Patreon page to keep this podcast as fresh as we can. Thank you for listening, everyone.